Good afternoon, everyone. The time is now 4:03 p.m., Thursday, February 20th, and this is the Education and Economic Development Committee meeting. I would ask that everyone please silence your cell phones, electronic devices for the meeting. A copy of this agenda can be found on the county website. It's under the tab for the legislature. And I ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lori, roll call, please.
Fagion?
Here.
Luhan?
Present.
O'Donnell? Miskevich?
Here.
Bazey?
Here.
Sierra?
Here.
Segenga? And Menuda.
Here. Okay.
6 present, 2 absent.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, first item on the agenda, we have Dr. Christine Young, President of Orange County Community College, Paul G. Martland, Vice President of Administration and Finance for Orange County Community College, for a request to amend Act, amend Act 23 of 1992 by removing the reference to 520 maximum and change it to reflect to no more than 19 hours per week. In addition, amend the starting salary to be no more than $3 more than the presiding minimum wage. Legislative request 316. May I have a motion and a second?
So I'll second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sarah Fagion, you have the floor. Welcome.
Great,
Thank
thank you, Chairman Nuda. For these items, I'd love to defer to.
off easy today.
Not quite yet. Hold me accountable
time has
a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I believe most of you were present at the last meeting, so it can be very brief. Essentially, this is a way to give the college a little more flexibility in some temporary positions. We call them college auxiliary. And the current maximum hours that they can work in the course of a year is 520. And the pay rate is limited to the minimum wage. We utilize not a lot of these folks, but 3 or 4 a year, both in maintenance and in offices. And it's getting more difficult to fill. So what we've suggested, and the County Human Resources Group has been involved in this discussion, is that we, instead of having an annual max, we have a weekly max of 19 hours and have the ability to pay no more than $3 an hour above the minimum wage rate. And there are no benefits involved. There's no sick days involved. And it's really just a way of giving us a little flexibility when it comes to temporary hires.
Very well. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we are going to need to amend it.
Motion. Second.
And the amendment would be, can we read that from the last meeting? Thank you, Mary.
Motion to read no more than $3 more, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And the presiding, yeah.
I make sure I was correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now motion on the actual. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very well. Motion passes, thank you. Item number B is a request to create one grounds maintenance worker grade 6 position at $21,083, $21.83 per hour, $45,425.33 annually. It's legislative request 317. May I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, very well. So we have Fagion and Sierra. What's yours?
Okay, this is another case of trying to get a little bit more flexibility at our Newburgh campus. We need to pay attention to our grounds. But given the nature of the campus and the seasonality of some of the grounds work, there's not always enough to just do grounds work. We had a laborer position that has become vacant through retirement a number of months ago. And we thought that this grounds maintenance position was the best compromise as to a position that would allow us to get the grounds work done, but also allow that person to do some of the maintenance work associated with grounds and some of the routine maintenance work in the buildings. So again, just an ability to give us a little more flexibility.
Any questions? Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. That passes. And then item 2B is a request to create one principal payroll clerk, grade 9 position at $25.37 per hour, or $52,772.94 annually. Legislative request number 317. May I have a motion and a second? Okay, we have Sassy and Fagion. Floor is yours.
Okay, and here, this position, we're asking for to have it in place in anticipation of a retirement in our payroll department a little bit later this year. The position being retired from is a antiquated position called payroll specialist that apparently came up through a grant-funded position some years ago that the college took on as part of our operating budget some time ago. The principal payroll clerk is the right job title for the work being done and equates to other folks in the area with the same title. So it's really cleaning up a situation from the past. And on this one, we may not fill it. We have a implementation going on of a new human resources information system and associated payroll system. And we're hoping that the workflows and the improved efficiency arising out of that implementation will obviate the need for this position, and we would not fill it under those conditions.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And my favorite part, college update.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's become a custom at this meeting or near to it every year to do like a mid-year update of how things are going at the college. So I'll lead and then Paul will come in a little bit. I've got handouts if it pleases the chair to distribute. So not only is it good fun to come in and share some positive news, but it's edifying to be able to say thank you for the investment you put into the college. Last year, you increased your contribution to the college by 6% and be able to show where that money is going and it's leading to success and be able to demonstrate that like halfway through the year that it's paying off. So please push me on anything you want to see here or you don't see here, and let's go.
Okay.
So here's the update. Headline on the front page is the increased enrollment, which is what I think perhaps you want to see most. Out of that investment. So this is the 9th consecutive semester where we have seen a bump, and the percentages you see on that page is expressed in head count. So we are in spring 2025. Thank you. Spring 2025 semester right now. So while I would tell you most community colleges are seeing something positive, finally, I would suggest that yours is seeing more and more frequently and more sustained than the others. If you ask me why, it's no one thing, it's everything that we're doing. It's the right programs in the right places, offered by the right people that we are hiring, the right supports for students as well, all at the right time. So thank you for that. And one part of that is a commitment to the right marketing and advertising. So if we go to the next page, we wanted to provide some examples of that advertising. And if you're saying, hey, I haven't seen some of these things, maybe you're not in the demo to see some of these things, because a lot of this advertising is digital, served on social media, served like on Google searches. So that first slide on the top, those are digital displays. That you can see the sorts of messages that we're trying to hit that we're inexpensive. And even if we're too expensive for you, there's financial assistance. Some messages we're discovering lately that, contrary to maybe what you might have in your head, even our younger students want the on-campus, personal, in-person experience. So driving that home, that we're there for them. That second slide, those are all digital, those rotating digital billboards, like on Route 17. And there you see a mix that we've used. The ones on the left-hand side are our credit courses, and the ones on the right-hand side are our SUNY Orange Plus courses, our workforce non-credit courses, and starting to give you, and some of them give you a little taste of what we've been ramping up and introducing in the past year. So you've got your certified clinical medical assistant. There you see our CDL courses, and I'll get into some more later in the package. And at a high level, I can tell you, we're not offering workforce classes willy-nilly. We're doing real data-driven research that it's at the end of these short-term non-credit courses. The person's got to be able to have a meaningful, sustainable wage at the end of it. It's got to be an in-demand field in Orange County. So this is real credible stuff that we're doing, and the division is exploding. We've got real enrollment in that. So when you ask me for enrollment numbers, remember, you only hear the credit side. You don't necessarily hear this non-credit side, and that is adding up and starting to make an impression on our bottom line as well. On the next page, I wanted to highlight our Rad Tech program, our X-ray program. It goes by many names, a lot of good stuff. Just as a highlight right now, that's really hot program. Its most recent, its most two recent graduating classes. That's an example of a health professions associate degree program that can graduate from us, but when they do, they still have to sit and take a licensure exam before they can practice. The last two classes, they sit, 100% of them pass on their first take. So that's a tribute to the program, to the graduates, of course, but to the program and what we do. And they were recently accredited by their external agency and got the maximum accreditation. So another tribute to this program. And wanted to share with you that like nursing, we talk about nursing a lot, but Rad Tech is another program where we have more students wanting into this program. They apply to this program than we have seats. So we are trying to, we have targeted this program for expansion. We recently got this Mother Cabrini grant, $260,000. Fuzz that one up just a little bit with the second number there. Like a Price is Right game, $260,000 we've won from, we've got from Mother Cabrini. We are seeking right now, working with the Dyson Foundation for another grant. What we seek to do is move the Rad Tech program from Middletown to Newburgh. This does a couple things. It's going to allow us to expand the program, meaning add more seats to the program. Right now we have a max of 48 seats in the program. This will allow us to go to 72 seats in the program. When we move it, we're going to upgrade the equipment, so get newer seats for this program. And it's part of our strategic plan, which is also part of our facilities master plan that you know well, Chair, that we are intentionally identifying our Newburgh campus as a healthcare education place, as a workforce education place, not abandoning other missions, but to really get a signature identifier on that campus. So that is active right now, and I hope to be here in less than 2 years' time and say Rad Tech is on that campus, bigger and newer, and serving more students.
I tell you, I know many people going through the Rad Tech program. It changed their lives.
Thank
So
you.
It's an amazing program. It's a great job. I believe Legislator Petion has some questions or comments.
Just the data, the numbers that you just gave was a question I was going to ask. In your press release on February 12th, you mentioned that 13 members of the 2024 graduating class were the ones that passed at 100% rate. I wanted to know how many seats were there. Thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Please continue.
Sure. Next slide also features dental hygiene, another one of our associate degree health professions program that has enjoyed that same sitting for a licensure exam at the conclusion of their associate degree that has just knocked it out of the park with 100% pass rates recently. So I wanted to celebrate them. Next page, require me flipping my phone.
And they are always looking for volunteers to get your teeth cleaned.
Yes, they do, because that's an example. No, thank you for that, because in our health professions programs, the students go out to, hospitals and clinics and so forth, because they have to get their experience. Dental hygiene does not, because the clinic is, the call is coming from inside the house, right? The clinic is at the college. So we need patients to come to the college, to come to the clinic. So yes, you need to bring your teeth to the college. Yeah. So there's a real dental clinic. There's 10 chairs in the biotech building. So
Is that
yes.
why your teeth are so white?
Yes. Yes. So it's nominal. Is it even $20? I think it's $20.
I don't know, but I know I sat in that exact same chair when I attended Orange County Community College. We called it off back then.
Next page, wanted a chance to brag on our intercollegiate athletics program. Olivia Torres is the region co-MVP in volleyball from Pine Bush. So congratulations to her on a successful season. That was fall sports. Right now, basketball. Everyone knows the Ricard family. So Tom, second generation coach of basketball in the Ricard family, just got his 250th win with us. And right now the men's team is ranked 20th in the country in Division II. They've got one regular season game left, and wouldn't you know, it's against Dutchess, which is ranked number 1 in the country in D3. So it's going to be a showdown.
All right.
But they're fabulous right now, and just a terrific group of young men. So I hope to heck they're going to nationals again. That'll be fun. Next slide. I mentioned SUNY Orange Plus again. That's our rebranded. If you knew it as Cape, this is the rebranded Cape, but with a lot more amperage, juice behind it. Highlighted 3. Well, they're all kind of newish programs under that umbrella. We are collaborating with Choice Films. We've got our second group going through, what do they call it? Below the, maybe somebody here knows it.
Below the line.
Thank you. Below the line boot camp. There it is. So Choice Films has had that, and credit Choice Films for having that program. But now we are working with Choice Films to open that up to more individuals and to expand it and to link it to our courses at the college and expanded courses. So we have our second group going through there. We've got 23 students in it. And that just kicked off in the past couple weeks. The middle slide represents, we have just started offering EMT in the past couple of weeks, and in the fall we will have paramedic, which is, as I think you would probably all know, like a huge demand. Yeah. Yeah, so we're proud to have that going. And food tech out in Newburgh, the lower level of the tower building is now rocking and rolling. We've had dozens of students complete all sorts of different trainings in that space now. And new in the past couple of weeks is food safety quality control, which speaks a little bit more to manufacturing and other sorts of food space. So that is highly successful as well. Next slide. Thank you, County, for and the legislature for approving our 2 newest trustees. There they are. You have Ellie Hart and Wilbur Higgins, just started last night, and they are. Ellie has like a 2-month jump start on Wilbur, but they're both very engaged and appreciated. And wanted to acknowledge the Mastodon Madness. Again, we can't call it anything but, and a groundswell to call us like the SUNY Orange Mastodons instead of the Colts. I have to put down that.
Did they call you to clean the teeth?
But I have held the teeth. I cannot tell a lie. that has been so exciting. I think you all saw, like, we made like international news on this one. We were in the BBC, we were in like India Times, like this was nutty. This one went around the world. But, you know, my favorite call out is when this truly, like, this family that I don't even know, like, who they are and where they exactly are. But when they found this and knew they had something special, you know, they didn't call up to Albany, they didn't call any other higher education institution. They called us and we had the expertise, right? I'm just saying. So
Very much.
that's something to be proud
That's
of.
impressive.
Next page. We supplied you with the press release, but we can certainly back this up with a 100-page report if you would like it, about our economic impact study. We paid for an economic impact study so we could back up what we say about the good value we are and the investment you make. And there's just some highlights there to remind you about that economic impact study. We are using this as we are out advocating right now with our friends in the state. More on that in a moment, because you do your part. We're trying to get the state to do theirs. Wanted to highlight a few of our faculty and staff who have most recently, these are the three who have most recently been selected by, actually, they're all SUNY awardees, not exactly awardees, but have been selected by SUNY for professional development. Floor and Lakia with two different institutes, leadership institutes, to develop them for more opportunities. Floor has completed her training and has really taken on a lot more of college, and for that we are grateful. And Suzanne, I would note, she is a nurse and she is the co-convener of the simulation fellowship, which means like she is developing curriculum and strategies for all of the SUNYs, like the Stony Brooks and the Binghamtons and so forth. So that's really a tip of the cap to Suzanne and what we're doing at SUNY Orange in terms of nursing instruction. And finally, trying to get to the wrap up here quickly, a slide about our budget advocacy. We are in the throes of this right now, trying to work with our state representatives and the executive branch. It was a little bit of a surprise to see that the governor in her state of the state and the executive budget did announce a opportunity promise scholarship, like a kind of a partial free scholarship, free community college program. So the college, like my organization, NICAP, of which I am the president, and NICIT, the trustees organization, of which Tom Waddell is in the executive committee, we've taken the position to endorse and say, yes, thank you. Like, we endorse this program to push more students into these, adult students into these programs. And we should still like to advocate for $100 million in operational aid. We still need you to level up with where the counties are, with where the sponsors are. So we are still asking for, advocating actively right now for $100 million to go along with that. So thank you. And also is the word of the day. So we are out there still very much actively asking for that. Please, if you don't have the dates at the bottom of the page on your calendars, please enter them. It's 3 days in a row in May, so something to suit every taste or multiple tastes to celebrate our 75th anniversary. The 16th is an evening event. That's a Friday, kind of like join with, it's billed as an alumni reunion, but it's meant for like all community members to come back to our Middletown campus, visit with each other, go to multiple buildings, different social events in all the buildings, just to meet and gather. The 17th is more of your traditional gala out at the West Hills, and the 18th is a breakfast on the Newburgh campus. And then the 9th is our actual 75th anniversary. So a smaller event on June 9th. Do all that. So that is mid-year college update, and I know Paul brought some news about where our budget stands at this point, and also capital projects.
Great.
That you wanted to update on. Thank you.
Okay, won't take much time. It's, we're only 5 months into the fiscal year, but as we sit here, we are a little behind budget. We're $333,000 behind budget, which means, if you recall, we were you planning to use $880,000 of fund balance to achieve balanced budget this year, which means we are now projecting a $1.2 million loss as opposed to the 880. The good news is it is explainable by just a couple of items. One of which was a unbudgeted capital job that came up that it was safety related. It was the college's annunciation system in case of emergency had basically died and needed to be replaced. And we hadn't budgeted for such an event, and that's about $200,000. So that explains part of it there. And then we had, unfortunately, the good news that Dr. Young pointed out on headcount enrollment being up. On the finance side, we worry about full-time equivalent students. And the FTE numbers, we budgeted at 6% increase. And in the fall, it was slightly less, in the low 5% somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. And in the spring, it's at 4.2%. So a solid gain, but not quite what we budgeted. So we had to reflect that, and that drops us another 259,000. But those are offset by 97,000 increasing in other revenues and savings on employee benefit costs. You know, as we manage the vacancy factor and the timing of hiring and so forth, we can impact that number. So our expectation is that we will continue to chip away at that loss and hopefully can end up closer to where we budgeted, but it's still a little too early to tell. And of course, we have the joy of starting the process of creating next year's budget. So many of you know Agnes Wagner. She is diligently working on the first cut of that budget, and will be coming to report to you on that in more detail a little later in the year. One piece of excellent news, I think, and those of you who have been part of the legislature for a long time, I think will recognize why this is a good thing. We have reached a tentative agreement with our faculty association for a new 5-year contract. And for those of you who will recall, the last time this happened, the contract expired back in 2017, and it went for over 5 years without getting resolved. And I think it's a credit to the leadership of the faculty association, to the leadership of the college, to the statewide union representative that was involved, that we were able to get this done. We will be coming back to you next month with all of the details, but I can tell you from a salary point of view, we ended up in better shape than the CSEA contract, so that was a positive thing. But we'll be submitting that to get on your committee for next time around. But I'm very pleased that went as well as it had. The contract technically expired last August last year. And the only reason it took us as long as it did is there were some folks, including myself, that had some time out with some health problems in the family. So we got delayed a little bit, but the whole process went extremely smoothly, and that's a really good sign. Capital projects, there's always a bunch of them going on, but I'm assuming the ones that are of the most interest to the group would be the two that are being funded by ARPA funds, and the one fairly good sized dollar item that is part of our normal capital projects. So the ARPA fund projects are the restoration of Morrison Hall, the new roof, the new building envelope, etc. That project has taken longer than we wanted it to, I will say that. The most recent delay has been due to roof tiles, not running into manufacturing problems with the tiles that go on the turrets. The regular tiles, we didn't have any issues. Apparently the tiles that go on the turrets are more difficult to manufacture. And so that has delayed us. But however, the tiles have arrived. And so I am finally confident that it's just a matter of buttoning things up. Everything else other than the tiles themselves are wrapping up this week, next week, the following week. The tiles should all be on the roof by the end of the week of March 14th. And the executive team and some of the others that are housed in that building are looking forward to moving back in by the end of March, first couple of days in April. So the very good news on that project is we did come in, the actual bids came in under budget significantly between that project and Horton Hall, and we were able to use those savings to completely upgrade the HVAC systems in Morrison, because that was a hodgepodge of God only knows what, really. It's amazing anybody who was either warm enough or cool enough at the right time of year. That piece was done and it's all implemented, ready to go. So that's a bonus we weren't expecting, which is a good thing. The Horton Hall.
We like that too.
Yeah, the Horton Hall roof, that project, we actually gave to a separate engineering company because we wanted to make sure that there was no delay on Morrison, which we thought would be the longer term problem project. And the folks we contracted with, let's just say where speed was not their essence. And so we have been behind schedule on that. However, we finally are at the point where the materials have all been ordered and the deliveries are being confirmed, and it looks like we're going to actually start the project in the middle of March, and we'll certainly meet the ARPA deadlines. There's no concern about that. So it's just been an experience. Let me put it that way. And the third one, the camera system upgrades on both campuses. You know, these security cameras have an estimated life of around 10 years, and ours were beyond that. And we were seeing a substantial amount of fall off on both campuses, you know, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but say we were dealing with 100 cameras, you know, 30 or 40 of them could have been out of work, out of whack at any one time. So this project was way overdue, and it was working with this committee and others here at the legislature, we were able to combine a 2-year project into one. So the Middletown cameras are all installed except for the garage. And the Newburgh cameras just started their installation this week. And as soon as the installation there is done, they'll go back and finish up the garage in Middletown. So that camera project will be behind us, and that's very important, as everybody knows in this day and age. So those were the three I had to comment on. If anybody has questions on any other projects or on those three, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Legislators here.
I just have more of a comment. I had a chance to go by Morrison Hall on campus, and you guys are doing a great job with the copper flashing. The tiles on the roof, I see what you're saying. Scaffolding systems, it's quite a project over there. If you haven't got a chance to see it, you guys should swing by because it's quite a feat.
And the thing that's the most amazing to me is I never realized how white that building is. It was so dirty that when it got power washed, it just jumps out at you. It's like a bright white color. It's really spectacular. And I haven't been in it recently, but I'm told that the interior has come along very nicely as well. So we'll be work well done and good to have it behind us all. Thank God for the ARPA funds on that.
Yes, looking forward to it. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Just a comment, very impressive, all good news, good news, good news, so kudos to all of you. I've sat on this committee now for 8 years, and I want to commend you, because it's been tough. I mean, you're literally squeezing the eagle off the quarter every time you come to us. I do want to say that the state has clearly dropped the ball year after year after year with empty promises, but, you know, sitting at the table with my Democratic colleagues here, you've had bipartisan support for this college, and I think we're all proud of that. I mean, you look through this, I mean, I had the opportunity, Chris, as you know, I came up just before COVID to look at your rad tech, your dental hygiene, and it's just totally impressive. You've also listened to us, and sometimes that's really hard to do. You have to do it, but you know, you've got food tech, you've got EMT, things that were mentioned. You took it to heart and you ran with it, and we've got some great programs here. I mean, it's a different college than it was 75 years ago. You've recognized that, and you know, all this is just great news. I do remember the Mastodon was knocked down. I think that was when Joe Menudo was there, probably knocked it over. You know, those art guys were probably wrestling. Anyway, thank you. Great job as always, and I'm happy to support the college.
Thank you. It's appreciated.
Anyone else? Thank you both very much for coming in. Thank you for
Thank you.
the information. Alrighty, next on the agenda, we have Betsy Abraham Esquire, Legislative Counsel, and Alan Sorensen, Planning Commissioner. And this is directing the clerk of the legislature to publish a notice of review of Orange County Agricultural District Number 1. No resolution is required. Betsy, welcome.
Hello. First, I did want to say that Commissioner Sorensen did ask if he should be here. He was at a Transportation Council meeting. I advised that it should be easy enough for me to handle, so
Fair enough.
he sends his regards. So what this is the county has designated March as the period during which landowners can request inclusion into the New York State agricultural districts. This direction is for our legislative clerk to file that notice to allow residents of Orange County to compile their submissions and applications, as well as a copy of the portion of the tax map showing whatever parcel they're looking to have included to the Orange County Planning Department for review. So that 30-day period is from March 1st through March 30th. At the end of the 30-day period, the requests are sent to the Orange County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board. From there, that board has 30 days to review the request and make recommendations to this legislature. The two criteria used by the board in reviewing the requests are whether the land is a viable agricultural land as defined in the state agricultural districts law, and whether the inclusion would serve the public interest by assisting in maintaining a viable agricultural industry within the district. After that review is done by the board, it is submitted to the legislature to hold a public hearing and act upon the requests. So for the benefit of anybody watching, the form to submit should be found on the orangecounty.gov.com website through the planning department. And if it is not up, they can contact the planning department at 845-615-3840.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We go through this every year. Property benefit, the county benefits for this as well. So thanks for the update and information.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Next up, we have Mr. Bill Fioravanti, the CEO of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency, for an update on what's going on at the I-20.
Good afternoon. How are you, Mr. Chairman?
How are you, sir?
Just hand some of these out. Doing well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Shoot one more down here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize.
Good stuff. Thank
I'll never be a casino dealer.
you. Close.
All right, thanks as usual for the opportunity to present. As usual, I'll try and move as swiftly as I can, starting always with our upcoming schedule. We just had our board meeting and committee meetings last night, actually, but so the next one's scheduled. We do have an audit committee meeting. Our fiscal audit is ongoing right now. So that meeting is on the 5th, and then we have our next month's board meetings, finance and governance on the 19th. Wanted to get into some recent applications. 2024 was a relatively slow year, didn't have a lot in applications. I do meet regularly with my colleagues, CEOs from IDAs around the region, and they had similar years. It was a tough year for development, I think, in ways, interest rates, et cetera. But we are seeing activity step up. At the end of 24, we received an application for just sales tax exemption and mortgage recording tax exemption for a private airplane hangar project at Stewart Airport. We did authorize a public hearing, and that is scheduled for February 27th in the town of Newburgh. So that is proceeding. Last night, we heard a presentation from a group developing a boutique hotel in the town of Cornwall, downtown. Very interesting. It's a contracting company that has been quite successful in the Newburgh area, and the owner has had this dream to build a 5-story, 35,000 square foot boutique hotel. Cornwall really needs it. It's one of our communities that could use some lodging. They have great tourism there and a lot of things to offer, but no lodging there. So that ends up being economic leakage where it goes somewhere else. So that's interesting. 56-room hotel. They too are only looking for sales tax exemption, mortgage recording tax exemption. What I mean for both of those projects is they're not requesting a pilot. So that's favorable for those types of projects. Next up is our UTEP update. I've been giving you regular updates on this for the last year, maybe the last 8 months at least. We did adopt it last night. So this is a revision to our uniform tax exemption policy, which is basically the roadmap for what incentives we offer to what types of projects and sectors. We did need to, IDAs are expected to review and revise them regularly. And it was time. It's the first time we've done it since this new administration, since me being at the helm here. And it's a new world, new priorities for this board of directors. So they are reflected in the revised UTEP. With emphasis, as I say in the report here, on advanced manufacturing, microchip manufacturing that we've talked about, supply chain, life sciences, pharmaceutical development, things like that, and also a new emphasis on workforce housing. So there's housing is an important component for us to do our part in combating the ongoing housing crisis. And there is a workforce component because that's one of the things that kind of impedes future economic development. We need the workforce here in the area. So we do want to incentivize that. In order for a housing project to qualify for incentives through the Orange County IDA, they have to have either 10% of their units, housing units, be rented at 60% of the area median income, or 20% of the units at 80% AMI. So it's not overly aggressive. We didn't want to scare projects away. We also need market rate housing here, but we did want a component for workforce. So again, that was adopted and is in effect right now. We did hold a public hearing that is required for UTEP adoption, and we actually had no attendees and we had no written comment. We kept the public hearing open for almost a month until last night's board meeting, and we had no written comment. I was expecting at least some, but I will say that I had the opportunity to present to many school superintendents from Orange County via Orange Ulster BOCES recently. So I got to present that to them and field any of their questions. They were actually quite supportive. I've had the opportunity to make a number of presentations to the superintendents thanks to BOCES, and I think it's gone a long way for mutual understanding and the dialogue. I've communicated with many of them when they have questions or concerns, so that's been really positive. I also, on the UTEP, I presented the week prior to the school district business officers who this really does tend to matter with too, and who we communicate with. So really positive when it came to that. And also we have our New York State monitor who approved the UTEP as well. Let's see. Next is Indigo Water Source. This is a request that came to us last year from a joint request from Orange County and the city of Middletown. You may be familiar with the Indigo properties. Right, I'm sure. A well field in the Mount Hope area. It's something that the city of Middletown has been hoping to really utilize for years as part of the Amy's Kitchen project. Middletown, we needed their assistance, and actually they were granted skimming rights to Indigo back in 2016. And they have the desire to further develop those wells and even develop a open air reservoir if possible there. So there is a proposal for a water study to assess the viability of those wells, dig some test wells, do other environmental testing, and also possibly to examine the viability of a reservoir there. I say possibly because there is some skepticism around whether or not the DEC would approve that right now in the current environment, wetlands remapping, some other things. So we received two prices on the proposal, one with the reservoir component, one without. Last night, the board considered the without proposal, so it's had a total price tag of just over $714,000. We came after a great discussion last night. We came to a commitment of $514,000 from the IDA. The city of Middletown and Orange County government would pledge $100,000 each towards that study.
Just a question on that one.
Sure.
So there is a lot of information at the Orange County Water Authority. When I was on the Water Authority,
Yes, sir.
we discussed the Indigo, so I hope you guys are utilizing all of that.
That was one of our points, one of the things we emphasize, and absolutely the engineering firm CDM Smith is utilizing those projects. Those studies are taking them off the shelf and considering that as well. Some of it is kind of aged out, but I appreciate you raising that because that's definitely something we
I'll
emphasize.
save you, help, just add to the information.
Exactly. So that's happening now. We are going to work on a legal agreement for the project, but we expect that to begin soon now. So that's good news. Other recent grants. This ties to our shovel ready initiative, which it's been one of our priorities to to utilize our fund balance in order to ready properties around the county for development, preferably for higher yield projects like the advanced manufacturing ones I talked about. Well, we've been ready to make an investment in one or more properties, whether it's extend water and sewer, help augment power to host one of these projects. But over the last year, we actually had a little bit of a diversion where there was an opportunity to use what I'll call other people's money for some of this. We have since won $1.5 million in grants through the state and the federal government. The first is a $500,000 EPA brownfields assessment grant so that we can examine properties, contaminated properties with hazardous materials around the county. There's some, I will say to Mr. Fagione, that there are some in the city of Port Jervis we're already identifying because it's a great opportunity. The city of Newburgh, I was a part of a group that won that grant originally, so they got $500,000 themselves for Newburgh. So we're going to look elsewhere in the county. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of uncover some, under some stones here, some properties that are often disregarded, and we can help remediate them and put them back in the tax rolls. This is just assessment to do phase 1, phase 2's analyses of the properties, find out exactly what the contamination is, but that lines us up for subsequent funding to actually remediate those sites. So it's pretty exciting, and again, an opportunity to have a niche here where we can bring some other properties, put them on the tax rolls.
Very exciting. We're going to bring those properties back online.
Absolutely, we're excited
Do
about that.
you want one of those?
That's something we haven't identified all the sites yet, but once there's a qualified environmental professional we'll be hiring, environmental firm that will be doing the bulk of this analysis. We have the RFP out. The proposals are due back February 28th, so we'll know more. And then we'll get our group together and assess exactly what the properties are. We've looked at a lot of them. That's been on the list. Napera, Camp LaGuardia, if it's something that, that the county wanted us to look at. I know there are other plans. So we're excited about that as well. Two other grants that we won are from New York State, Empire State Development, FAST New York. That is a program that New York State developed in order to provide funds to do just what our goal is, to prepare properties to host great projects. They're especially focused on microchip manufacturing. Obviously, the state's been a big push. So they've given tens of millions of dollars to different sites around the state. The first grant we won was for $500,000 for the Aidenbrook Business Park. That is a future business park that would be focused on tech projects, not warehouses, in the town of Montgomery. We won that grant to pursue entitlements to move towards approval to utilize the site for that. And then just 2 days ago, we were awarded another $500,000 for FAST New York for the Roaston Power Plant site. That's one that, in partnership with our partners at the Orange County Partnership, we have had a vision for redeveloping that site, possibly for a clean energy use. We know that some things are going different directions now, but offshore wind was a huge push. We could actually help manufacture component parts, supply chain for that, turbines, cabling, et cetera, et cetera. So we see a great opportunity there. So Roasted is a heck of a property. We just toured it recently with Newburgh officials, and we see great hope there. So that's exciting as well.
Mhm.
Next couple of items here, resiliency loan program. You may recall during COVID, we were given, IDAs around the state were given special permission to actually give out loans to small businesses hurt by COVID. IDAs typically cannot, or prohibited from giving out loans, but again, we were given special permission due to the effects of the pandemic. We gave out just shy of $500,000 in loans, loans up to $10,000 with very low interest, but they were expected to be repaid. Most of them have been repaid. Some are still making payments, but we had just over $54,000 that was not being repaid. We did deliberate and kind of debate over exactly how we should handle that. I think the overall sentiment was certainly some people suggested letting it go, but really we didn't see that as fair to the people that did diligently repay their loans. So we do now have it in the hands of the Collections Bureau. They're just going to make some final actions. It'll be our last hurrah in order to collect what we can. We've already collected a couple thousand, so we're hoping that continues. That's something that we reported to you early on. I've given you updates on it. I think that at one point the legislature asked for copies of how those were being repaid and who owed them. So I wanted to report that back to you, tell you what we're doing.
Thank you.
Just a couple others. Our New York State Monitor, Anshin. Overall, it's been positive. Of course, it's not something we're crazy about having. It's additional onerous oversight, and the worst part is that it's at our expense. They do have a cap from the state to only bill us a maximum of $250,000 a year. They're at roughly $229,000, and they still have to go to April. So they're brushing up against that. That's probably my biggest complaint, but I will say otherwise, the firm has been very good to deal with. We've been cooperating completely as their last report to the state outlines. The report also stated we're doing everything by the letter of law and every regulation, so please that. Though they did, of course, they're paid to find some recommendations, they made a number of recommendations that we're working diligently to implement. Their next 6-month report is due in April. We have an ongoing dialogue with them. They tell us what they're going to report. They give us a chance to respond and make any modifications or corrections. So they've been really great about that. So just costly. So it's happening. They are here until April of 2026. So you know, so it will be an ongoing relationship there. And lastly,
It's nice to know, it's really nice to know that they're not needed.
it is what it is. Politics is a wonderful thing. Lastly, I have our board chairman, Mr. Jeff Christ. He's just been wonderful. Appreciate you appointing him, going on, well, October will be just a year, is that it?
Yeah.
Been a wild year. But he's really demonstrated tremendous leadership. We're really grateful for that. And he's also very engaged, not just in our meetings and such, but he actually joined me at New York State Economic Development Council conference last week. We've been to a couple together. Excellent conference. It's a great trade organization where we get to talk to other colleagues of ours around the state, talk about best practices, creative ideas, things they're doing in shovel variety and such. Really, really valuable. They had great breakout sessions. And our colleague Connor Eckert actually presented one of the breakout sessions. So we were proud of him for that. I did provide the link if anyone wants to look at that, look at some of the sessions, see some of the slides if you wanted to drill down that specifically. But it was a great conference, and we'll be going to their annual meeting in May as well. Those two conferences we tend to regularly attend. That's my update for this Monday.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? Bill, thank you for coming in.
Need anything else, you can contact me anytime.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Take care.
You as well.
Me.
All right, and then we have a Mr. Todd Hewlett, the Executive Director of the Orange County Arts Council, for an overview of the 2025 initiative programs for the Arts Council.
Welcome, handouts, if that's all right with you.
Please, absolutely. Helps us follow along.
Yeah. So in front of you, first, thank you for having me. It's always, I feel a really wonderful opportunity to share the work that we're doing with our community, and certainly our community is represented well here. There is a one-pager, which this maybe is just the summary for you. This is not something that we have printed in a way that is handed out publicly, but it is similar information, most of which is contained here within these two documents. This is kind of our overview of what's going on, the one that we hand out actively in 2025. And then this one here is our overview of what we did in 2024. This is designed specifically to give to those who are our supporters, our donors, people who have a stake, our stakeholders in the organization and the work that we do. So I do want to just point out a few things in our 2024 recap. This year, we have some really great wins with the support from the legislature. We've been able to serve with our Art Support Services program, which we really cannot run without the support of the funding from the legislature. It becomes critical to us to have that support in order to offer these opportunities. More than 120 individuals were served with that, where we do one-on-one consultations. It is nearly 300 hours that we spent advising, helping people to overcome roadblocks that get in their way of being able to be successful. And that direct economic impact, if we look down below, one of the things that we do in this, we wanted to use a conservative number, and the National Endowment for the Arts has come up with the national average of $14 spent per ticket. So anytime there is an event, that there is a concert, that there is a play that's happening in your community, an additional $14 per ticket is the national average. But we also did some checking into Americans for the Arts does some more regionalized studies. And our immediate community in this area, the average is about $33 rather than $14. So if we take a look at that number, the amount of services that we then provided developed about $1.6 million of economic impact. with the organizations that we support with the funding that you all are able to provide to us. So we're very grateful for that, for the success of our year. And one of the other big wins is that we have been able to secure additional funding to give to our artists $30,000 this year. Just under $30,000 is what we were able to give directly to artist payments this year. So that was our 2024. There's certainly a lot more information. That wasn't a whole booklet's worth. So if you, I leave these with you to take a look through and encourage you to do so. One of the other things that I think is actually very interesting, we've never done before, is to actually take a look at how we're spending and where we're receiving our funds from. This is in this back of the cover area, which is a really wonderful reflection of what we're doing with our monies and how we are making sure that we are investing the funds that we receive from all of our donors, including the legislature, properly. And then I want to jump into 2025, which is what we're here to talk about today. First, we have brought on 5 new board members, and we are grateful to have Jen Gervaisi, who's the wife of the new president at Mount St. Mary College, who has joined us. Janice Barth, who is a grade school teacher in Pine Bush Schools. Lisa Mitchell from the Community Foundation of Orange and Sullivan. Kim Alfonso, who is an entrepreneur and artist. She's based out of in the Cornwall area and has been working with tech companies all over the country. And we're grateful to have her, as well as Lauren Scott joining us from J&G Law. Also, we have already held our Arts Build Confidence Student Showcase. Last year, we saw about 4,500 guests. This year, our estimate is at 6,850. So we saw a really big increase in that. 16 high schools participated and 21 K-8 schools from throughout the county participated in that day. So we're grateful for them and their participation. We are going to do the Sustainable Arts program again. We have applications closing tomorrow. And then that program will begin March 17th. Creative Impact this year, we're going to be doing a mixer. If any of you, I know some of you have participated in that program. The conference version of that program, we anticipate expanding it even further. We have been working with the arts councils from all of the Hudson region. So there are 11 counties who are currently, we as the Arts Council have been able to facilitate a gathering of these arts leaders to pull them all together. And we are looking at creating this as more of a regional event. And in order to build that expansion, we actually are going to be doing a mixer this year. So it will not be the full conference. So it will be a 5 to 8 p.m. conference that we will do in 2025, so that we can also prepare ourselves for that full conference, again, an expanded conference in 2026. I also hope that you will join us for the bus tour. There is a really great event that happens. It is a for-profit organization that does the Upstate Art Weekend. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but we as the Arts Council feel it's important for us to take that opportunity to share all of the world-class art that is being presented, not just within our community, but even overseas. That weekend sees people from all over the world coming to visit. And we hire a bus, and we take the bus around and eliminate all of the challenges, the logistics of getting to see all the art and make sure that people can see very quickly. So if you are interested in joining us, we hope that you will join us that day. OC Live, we are excited to be partnering with the Country Fair with the Cornell Cooperative Extension this year. We are going to be partnering with them to make that an even bigger event on our end and a bigger event on their end. So it's a really wonderful collaboration. Last year we saw 175 artists who presented their art, many of which had never had the opportunity to present before, people who are telling stories of the very first art sale they've ever had, people who have never had, singers and musicians who have never been given a public mic before. Really great stories that we now are going to be able to take to that group of 15,000 that they had last year.
So the Orange County Burning Man or what?
That's right. Don't tempt us. No, we're excited for that event, and they've been really great partners in making sure that we are figuring out a way that it benefits the whole community, the whole county. And then we have the OC Arts Month, which we're really excited for this. This is actually an initiative that has come out of our Arts Organizations Committee. The Arts Organizations is a group of about 90 arts organizations who are on the list. Then there's about 20 representatives who come each month. They meet monthly, and they are working on a group where they will be able to partner together to really promote externally. And we've been partnering also with the Office of Tourism. Amanda Dana has been really helpful in helping us to strategize the way that we're going to move that forward. And then at the end of that month, we'll host a gratitude reception, which I put on here just because, again, you would be encouraged and welcome to join us. It'll be the opportunity where all of those organizations are going to come together for a quick little celebration. It's a Monday evening. I don't know if you're available or not, but you are welcome. And then the art affair this year, our plan is to do it once again at the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. We have in the past bopped around the county with that event, specifically trying to showcase different places, but we've also learned that there are challenges that kind of decline the quality of the event because we have to learn every year new things. So this year we've decided that we are going to stick with the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center. We think it is a true gem in our community, and the more we can do to uplift that space and showcase the gem that it is for our whole county, we look forward to hosting that event there again this year. And then a few of the additional initiatives I just wanted to point out real quick. We also have a new Community First Project Management. This was a grant that we received to actually bring in community members to serve as the head of the ship for each of these smaller projects, which has been a really great opportunity to hear a little bit more so it doesn't end up just being what Todd Hewlett thinks should happen, but that we're really getting some voices from our community to participate in those capacities. And then our expanded partnerships program, we're really excited. We've been able to do a lot of art support services already. We've seen a huge uptick in 2025 already with our art support services. We hit 122 last year. We're already at about 70, and we're here only in what is it now? February. So we'll see many of those also continue throughout the year, but we've seen a huge uptick in that. We have the city of Middletown is putting up some murals that we help facilitate. The city of Newburgh has a mural project that they are currently working on. So we're excited for those. We also have the Orange County Human Rights Commission. We have already partnered with them on their event in December, and we're also looking at partnering with them for an event that's coming up here in the spring. And then we also have partnered with the Commissioner of Jurors, the new commissioner, Ms. O'Donnell, who is working on putting in art in that juror space as well. And these are these are the ones that I feel are relevant to the legislature, but certainly we also have many additional programs that we're excited to be partnering with and look forward to supporting our community this year.
I'm blown away by your enthusiasm and thank you for being here. A lot of really good things are happening. A lot of good stories I'm seeing with all the different people that come to this committee that you're working with. So does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. All right. That being it, I'll take a, what am I looking for? Motion to adjourn. Thank you. So moved. Okay, Sassy Lujan. Thank you all very much for attending today.